Welcome to the Livfiit Listens podcast, a safe space of growth, personal development, and overall wellness with your host, Olivia Catania. Diving into the realms of all things health, conscious living, mental expansion, and much more, this podcast is designed to help you evolve into your best self and live fit. Let's get into the show. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the pod. Welcome to episode 25. I feel like this is like a significant episode. No? Like 25, like quarter of 100. That's a lot of weeks. You know what I'm saying? I hope everyone's doing really well. I hope everyone's ready for a new week. I feel like I know I'm ready for a new week. In all honesty, I feel like last week I was not on it. Last week I felt like it was one of those just I kind of needed to call it a wash. I don't know what it was, like why it was happening. I was not on my game. I wasn't just in like all areas. I just felt kind of off. So I'm here. I'm ready for a new week. So what I'm feeling grateful for today and lately is like simply the variety and diversity in life. And I feel like this is like so not relevant to the podcast topic for this week's episode, but like I just feel like sharing. I feel like especially like in the way that our society is progressing, I feel like in my interpretation, we keep trying to kind of make everything the same and everyone the same because we want to all be treated and respected the same, which rightfully so. But I think we can still, like, I feel like our aim should be to be treated and respected equally no matter our differences. But I don't think the goal should be to mitigate and, you know, make our differences less noticeable in order for us to yield more respect, if that makes sense. Like, I think the diversity and variety in life and how we're all so different is what makes life and like exciting. And like if we're all the same and if everything was the same, like nothing would have any contrast or variety and it would just genuinely be boring. And so that's what I'm personally grateful for. Like I'm differences in everyone as humans, in just the differences in the weather, differences in the different life organisms that are on the planet, difference in people's styles and how they express themselves and everything. Like I think that's really cool, and that diversity is like super important in life. And I'm feeling extra grateful for it lately. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about 5 personal development habits that have changed my life. These are more so going to be like, you guys know how I roll. So these are going to be more so like, I guess I'm very big on like going to the root and going to the foundation and starting there, because anything that you're trying to like fix or do on like any surface level scale, it's not lasting to me because there's like always going to be that unstable foundation. So I'm more of like go for the foundation type of gal. You know what I'm talking about? So these are all more so like foundational things, foundational like daily habits to actually like help transform you as a person foundationally to then set you up for a more successful, abundant, aligned life. So to start off, honestly, these weren't in any particular order, but like I do feel like this is number 1 directly what has fully changed my life, because it has completely changed my perspective on life, which is like the stone brick number 1 to like cultivating your life. I'm wearing my hair up today, and I don't think I've ever done that with these headphones, and I feel like my face is already round, but I can't help but get distracted in the camera because I look like my face is a legitimate circle right now. Like you could take the circumference of this. Anyways, okay, back to what I was saying. So I couldn't help myself. So number 1 is reading. And I was never a reader. Let me tell you something. My older sister, Sophia, she was the bookworm of the family. Granted, she would read like fantasy books, but still like she was a book nerd. Like I would say that she was always reading, and I never read, and I never felt called to it. I never could like sit down to like actually read a book. When I was really little, I would like try to pretend to read because I would always want to copy Sophia A and B. I like kind of wanted to feel like, that's a story for a different day. I also used to write to-do lists, and I used to pretend to like scribble in notebooks, like I was writing things down and like journaling, because I like felt like I was just weird. I was like a weird businesswoman when I was like 8. Like I had my dad make me a briefcase out of an old laptop box because I loved like feeling like I wanted to feel like I had things to do, I guess. Okay. But she was a productive girl even when she was 8, I guess. So moral of the story is I was never a reader. And then I don't know, summer of 2020 when I really got into more personal development stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to try reading again. And I read more personal development, self-help, spiritual books as opposed to like fiction. And for some reason it like really, I don't know, it really stuck with me, and I'm so glad that I actually gave it another go, like as I was in my older years, as I matured, I guess, because it has completely directly changed my life. Like, I know it's dramatic when people say some things like, oh, that changed my life. No, reading like full heartedly like changed my life. Specifically books by Eckhart Tolle or Tolle. I'm still not sure how to say his last name, but The Power of Now and A New Earth by him, they'll be linked on my Amazon storefront in the show notes. Those books just completely transform my perspective on reality. Also, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz also will be linked below, and The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer also will be linked below. Those are probably my all-time top 4 books. There's a few other that I read that helped, but like those are definitely top 4 that completely changed my foundational perspective on life. And you guys know I preach it every day. Every time I'm on here, every single solitary thing is perspective. Your entire reality is simply just a reflection of your mental state. And they just have those books helped me gain more self-awareness, just awareness of my everyday life, allowed me to, realize truly my true potential that I hold, and just that life holds, and just in the sense of like how I choose to look at life. All that sort of stuff like has completely just changed the game for me. And I sometimes think how people are living without having read those books. And it just blows my mind to think about, because like so much of my day to day goes back to those principles that I learned in my book, like no doubt. Okay, side note. Here's the thing about living in Hawaii. Downside are the bugs. There is some sort of bug right now that is crawling on the floor and has now made its way up on the tripod of my camera setup. Yep. Okay, go back down. They made a U-turn. Thank you. See you next time. Hopefully not. Yep, he's making his way back downtown. Thank you. Adios. Hasta luego. Ugh. Luckily, it's little. I didn't like that. Proceeds to put her feet up on the couch. Anyways, pick up a damn book, especially a self-help book. They will completely change your life. Perspective is everything. Don't underestimate it. The more that you can evolve your mind and your brain, the better. Number 2, I have here affirmations, but basically essentially the reason why affirmations have been so powerful for me is because they've reminded me and allowed me to put in practice the concept of actually choosing your thoughts, how you want to see yourself, how you want to see life, etc. Again, this is such an internal perspective shift or an internal practice, right? But that's where the most power is, because it all starts within, as I always say. This kind of goes back to the whole gaining a new perspective thing that reading has given me. It has allowed me just to have a whole new perspective on life, because it allows me to basically essentially choose the lens that I'm looking at life through. Complete game changer. I essentially, through affirming to myself how I want to see myself, affirming how I want my life to play out in the sense of speaking things into existence with manifestation, completely just has changed everything. And another thing I have written down here is talking to myself like I'm my own best friend. I do that mainly through affirmations, right? It's such a key to life to be kind to yourself, embodying self-love. It is such a cheat code, and affirmations has allowed me to actually embody those things by giving me a tangible practice, something to actionably do to help me, I guess, live in that way. So I'll use affirmations in so many different ways. The biggest and most common way is for me to do it first thing in the morning, talking to myself in the mirror, saying them to myself as I'm looking myself in the eye. I'll tell myself I love myself. I'll say that I'm proud of myself, that I'm beautiful, that I'm valuable, that I'm worthy. And then I'll kind of go into more speaking what I want to manifest, into as if it's already existing, I'm living my dream life. Any goals that I have with Livfiit, I'll say it as if it already exists, etc. If I find myself kind of feeling low vibe, or if I'm feeling kind of just down and feeling negative about something, and this happens a lot, if I'm driving, sometimes I'll find myself in a trance, just kind of being low vibe, and I'll just get myself juiced up, and I'll be I'm thankful to be alive. I'm happy. I feel grateful. I'm appreciative. I'm living high vibe. I'm in alignment with my highest vibration. I am my highest self. And I'll just kind of spew those out. And it's kind of I don't know what it is, but it's so empowering, and it completely changed my perspective for the day. And just in that moment. And it just is really freaking powerful, and it allows you to kind of switch that narrative and build up so much positive momentum for your day. And it just completely transformed my whole day around, because everything is a mirror. Life is a mirror. What you're seeing, what your perspective is, what you're thinking in your mind is what's going to get affirmed back to you. That a narrative is going to get affirmed back to you. So whatever you're kind of picking up, whatever lens you're choosing to put through your glasses that day is completely going to be what you see. So having those affirmations, using them as a tool to choose a positive lens for me to see life through, has been an absolute game changer and has set me up for so much more success and allowed me to come into alignment with positive people, positive situations, positive occurrences that are in alignment with the life that I want to live, because I'm speaking into existence, damn it. And that sub point, I just want to hone that in, is to also talk to yourself like you're talking to a best friend. That's important. It has completely changed my life, and I usually do that through affirmations. Number 3, practicing gratitude. Gratitude has changed my life tenfold. This just has made life feel so much easier and so much more like just happier, so much more fulfilling, so much like it's essentially just living life through the lens, again, the same analogy that like the glass is half full in life. It really is. And just being grateful for what you do have instead of constantly being upset about what you don't have is, I mean, do I even need to elaborate on that? Like, it's so powerful on its own and so transformative, and it just flips the switch. Like, if you guys can't tell, I've said this before, I see life as the yin yang symbol. There's one seamless whole. Oh, yo, I just freaked out because I'm wearing a shirt right now with the yin yang symbol on it. You guys, we have a graphic for today. Everyone go to YouTube so you guys can see this, and then you all can pay attention to the whiteboard for this episode, aka my shirt. So this is life right here. I love this right now. It's all seamlessly completing the whole. It's all making up one, right? But we have this white area. I always mix up which side is which, but like we have this piece of the puzzle and this piece of the puzzle. Okay, let's say the white is the good and the blue is the bad. I feel like this could be opposite. I forget which one is the yin and the yang. Anyway, there's some white in the blue part, and there should be some blue in the white part. This isn't necessarily blue, but there's a little circle right here that you kind of can't see. But anyways, there's good and the bad that both make up the whole, and there's good in the bad, and there's bad in the good. And so it's all about like what you're choosing to look at. Each thing has an exact opposite, right? There's the positive space of something, and the counter of it is the negative space around it. So for me, gratitude is just kind of focusing on that positive space, right? It's just what you choose to focus on in life. And even being grateful can 100% extend towards the quote unquote bad or the less favorable situations or the more challenging situations, because they've allowed you to grow, evolve, adapt, learn, you know what I mean? So, which is a huge part of life. So changing that narrative and seeing life through the lens of gratitude just allows you to be so much more appreciative of everything and see everything you've been through as a gift, as opposed to getting so bogged down and weighed down and upset about these quote unquote less favorable situations, or about the things that you don't have or what you haven't accomplished yet. Like, you need to understand that everything is happening as it should, when it should. There's a reason for everything, and we're all on our own timelines, and I think that we need to have more respect for that, and gratitude is a perfect way to help cultivate more respect for your own path. And it's kind of humbling, right? I feel like when we get upset about the things we haven't done, or feeling like, why me? Why did this less favorable thing happen to us? It's like, that's a sense of entitlement and feeling like we should already have it by now, or feeling like we didn't need to go through that. Like, I don't know, being grateful for everything, no matter what it is, or if it agrees with your timeline or when you wanted it or in the way you wanted it. It's so much more of a more humbling, it's very humbling and grounding. And I feel like those are also some two very key components to carry with you through life if you want to live a fulfilling life as well. So gratitude, I will do that by, writing gratitude lists. When I'm journaling, I'll write that down, or just being the biggest thing. And I feel like what's most transformative is taking these things with you through life, not having them start and end for your half-hour morning routine in the morning. No, this is something that you need to be actively doing throughout your day. I kind of touched on this in my most recent YouTube vlog about a beginner's guide to starting your spiritual journey. That's where the true change happens, because it's all about repetition, right? Just like in the gym, how many reps are you doing over time? That's what allows you to get comfortable with an exercise the more you do it, or with anything in life. And so same thing with all of these principles, right? It's like in your day to day, you have to be grateful. For example, a great example, just last night, I got the Jamaican jerk pizza from California Pizza Kitchen. It's the best thing on this planet. It's so good. And I was really craving it. And I was like, my time here is coming to a close. And so I was like, I have to get that again. So I got it yesterday. I go there. I got the pizza to go because I wanted to bring it back. And luckily, for whatever reason, I don't do this often because I don't really get takeout a lot. And so I already had left the the restaurant once I picked up my order, because I ordered it to go. I was like, let me just check to make sure it's the correct pizza, because they were pretty busy in there. Open it up. It had like shrimp on it. I was like, this is not the Jamaican jerk pizza. It had like shrimp and arugula. It did not look good. And so I was like, someone's reaction could have been like, oh, damn it. Like, are you kidding me? Like, now I have to go back in there and change it. Like, why did they get my order wrong? Like, now I'm going to have to wait. And my initial reaction was, I opened it and I was like, oh, phew. And I was like I was relieved. I was like, oh, thank you, Uni, for like making me have that urge to check if it was the right pizza. And I felt genuinely grateful instead of feeling frustrated and irritated that they got my order wrong. I felt thankful that I felt an urge and a call to check the pizza when I did, instead of when I got back to the car, or rather than when I got all the way home or anything like that. Like, I was thankful that I checked when I did, and that I was able to notice when I did, so that they could go back in and change it. And it was no big deal. They had another pizza out within like a few minutes. Like, they just accidentally handed me the wrong pizza. And so something like that, of like choosing, you know what I mean? It's like all the perspective. Like, I could have been pissed that they messed up my order and that I had to quote unquote wait, or I could have been thankful that I actually felt the urge to check the pizza, that it could be correct before I drove all the way home. Things like that. It's like, how are you choosing to see life? It's like so completely transformative, and it made that could have ruined someone's night, of being like, oh, they got my order wrong. Like, is it really that big of a deal, Karen? You know what I mean? It's like, it's pizza. Be thankful that you're able to be in a place to buy pizza, to be in a place that has really good pizza, to have discovered this pizza that you know is really good and you really wanted to enjoy it. Like, there's so many things to be grateful for, and every single scenario, it's all about how you choose to look at it. And that's what I mean when it has made life feel so much easier for me, because it has allowed me to just see joy in every single situation. You know what I mean? Then the next thing that has changed my life is meditation, hands down. And again, similarly to what I was just saying about taking these practices with you throughout the day, something about doing what you can to stay in a meditative state throughout your whole day is what has really changed the game for me. Not just simply that 20 minutes in the morning or whatever the case may be. Such a good place to start. And I still do my meditation 20 minutes in the morning, but again, doing what you can to carry that with you throughout the whole day is where I feel like real change happens, because you're living the change, right? There's no stop and ending point. Like, you are actually embodying that change. And so meditating has just allowed me to create space, because specifically like just getting quiet with myself, right? Doing what I can to not constantly live in constant chatter in my mind, like taking the time to ground, connect to my breath, connect to myself, just be a little slower, live life slowly, has just done more than I could really even explain or put my finger on why. I think just a lot of us live life disconnected and not grounded, and it makes us feel very sporadic and chaotic when we live our life, and like constantly in a hurry and kind of in misalignment. So that's, I feel like, what it is. I feel like that's why it's been so transformative, since it's allowed me to get quiet, create space with all of these all these thoughts that I'm thinking of that may be mine, may not be mine, things I'm stressing about, just creating space between them. Connecting to myself, developing more trust with myself through meditation has allowed me just to feel like I'm living life more in alignment with my true self. And it has brought me so much peace and fulfillment and comfort. And that's why it really has changed my life. And the biggest thing, also another thing, is meditating has allowed me to become present. And I think that's the biggest thing that I take with me throughout the day when I say to stay in that meditative state throughout your day. 100%. Learning and knowing how to connect to your breath, how to ground, right? How to connect to your energy body. I don't know how to even describe it, but I will I will breathe in, and I can literally feel my consciousness like sit. This is going to Okay, this might go over some people's heads. This, if you've read, I forget which book it is. I think The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or it may be in the book The New Earth as well. But there's something about, he calls it the seed of awareness or the seed of consciousness, where there's kind of like, that's kind of what I mean when I refer to creating space, right? Like the seed of awareness is where you're at when you are, observing what you are experiencing. You are the experiencer experiencing the experience. You are not it. You are not your thoughts. Like you are that consciousness in the background of it all, if you will. And so I will be able to, when I really am thinking, and I have found a spot where I'm able to do a nice big deep breath, and I could really feel myself, my consciousness, like going back in my mind and getting in that seat of awareness and feeling this like energy tingle throughout my whole entire body. And that to me is like connecting, going back to that seat of awareness and just going back to that consciousness that's free of thoughts, free of identifications, free of form, free of boundaries, free of borders. And it's so grounding and so, I want to say humanizing, but it's kind of almost contradicting what I'm trying to say. It's like enlightening, if you will. It's like freeing, it's uplifting, and it has just given me like such a whole different perspective, I guess, on life when I go through life, and it has brought me a lot more peace. And it also allows me to be super, super present in that moment because I'm detaching from the thoughts, the stressors of life, any noise in the forefront that's in our society and things like that, and that come with being a human and taking form. So it's kind of like tools like that like I do during meditation that I'm able to then do like sporadically throughout my day when I need to be more grounded and be more present. And it's really crazy, especially now when I look back, what meditation has done for me on the long haul. Like, yes, I still identify as a thinker, like I think a lot, but I do not have like there's a lot of points in my day, I should say, where I effortlessly and just kind of calm, where I'm in a state of observation as opposed to a state of constant like judgment or internal noise and constant thoughts. Like I feel like my mind works a lot more slowly in a good way, in my opinion, where it's slowly in the sense of it's the opposite of anxious, if that makes sense, where my mind isn't racing. Like I feel a lot more peace. I'm in a state of more observation, a state of more awareness of what's going on around me, what's going on within myself. And it's a game changer. I just feel more calm throughout my day now because I've taken that thought process with me. And lastly, this isn't more of like a day-to-day practice. This is kind of just overall to be something more discerning about and gain more awareness. And this was something that was echoed to me again recently. I have written down being more intentional with who I give my time to and how I spend it. And I think this is something that people really lose sight of and lose perspective on, because it's kind of like, it's really easy to get lost in the sauce on this one. And I know it's hard because there's people in your life, right? It's not always super easy just to cut people off. Not at all. Especially if you've been friends with them for a long time, if they're childhood friends or whatever the case may be. And also it's very easy to not even realize the effect that they're having on you because you're so engulfed in it, right? It's kind of something you don't really know until there's space between you guys to then kind of get that clarity to see it in that light and understand. Essentially what I just mean here is back to kind of that living in alignment and out of alignment. There's some and high vibe people and low vibe people. That's just a principle of life that has been a hard pill for me to swallow, because I like to see the good in everyone. I like to, as with everyone, right? I don't mean to be like, I just really like see everyone in a really good light. Everyone does this in one way or another, right? We want to believe that people have good intentions, that people have our best interests, that people, are healthy for us, right? Like we're communal beings, we're species. Like we want to be around people. But the harsh truth that I've learned, and not that these people are bad people by any means. That's something that I choose to not believe. I do believe that all people are inherently good, but there's people who are still working on healing their traumas that are causing them to act a certain way, etc., that are causing them to act out. There's people who are still we're all on our own path, right, of healing and just life journeys, etc. And there's some people that are truly just our lower vibe than others, and certainly on a different life path, right? And so you really are an accumulation of the people you spend your time with. And I think being here and coming across so many new people. And coming from a place back in Utah where I had such a small circle, I'm very sensitized to that and to feeling different people's energies and how it makes me feel when I'm around them. What situations do we effortlessly kind of get into when I'm around certain people? And that's a reflection of, the type of people they are, how they're, the frequency that they're vibing at, right? Like if they're low vibe, high vibe, etc. Just really paying attention to that. And since being here, I guess what I was trying to say, like I'm super sensitive to that now. And I kind of have this hyper awareness because I've kind of detoxed since being back at Utah, if that makes sense. So I'm just more sensitized to it all. And it just has been really echoed to me since being here. There's certain people that I met where things effortlessly go really, really well. We have good luck with certain situations. I feel really good. I feel really happy. I feel charged up around them. And there's been other people that I've met, that I've hung out with, that make me feel super anxious, right? That we've had kind of really crappy situations that we''t gotten into, where we've crossed paths with other, more conflict with other random people on the street, like just random things like that I feel like aren't there. I don't believe in coincidences. There aren't coincidences, and those things speak loudly. Those aren't things to be overlooked. They are a direct reflection of the frequency that you are operating at when you're with those people, or the frequency that those people are operating at, etc. So just really keeping that in mind, because you really may not even realize how much people in your life or in your circle are holding you back from leveling up, or living the life that you want to live, because you're just kind of getting stuck in their same narrative. And kind of also going with that, the sub point was how you spend your time. You really just need to value your time, value your energy, right? Like you don't owe anybody anything. And this is harsh, and this is where I'm selfish. Like, and I love that about myself at times, and I don't really love that about myself at times as well. It really is super subjective, but in this case, this is what I do love about myself, that I respect my time. I'm discerning with my time and my energy, right? I value both my time and my energy, and I don't just give it to everyone, right? There's a place where if you need to support a friend and you need to go somewhere to support them, even though you might not want to do it, but it's to support them and show that you love them, sure, go for it. That's a totally different story. But if there's something that doesn't feel right to you, that you don't want to do, that you feel is a waste of time, if people want to go out and party, for example, and you're like, I don't want to spend my time doing that, but they are like, come on, like, why would you not come out? Like, blah, 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 blah. Don't be lame. That's where you need to be discerning and say, that's just not where I want to allocate my time. And you need to respect that about yourself, respect your time, and know that you don't owe them anything, and you don't need to go places that don't make you feel good. It really can be that simple. And I think sometimes it's cut out to be more complicated than that, but it really doesn't have to be. Like go where it makes you feel good. Go where it aligns with your goals, right? It may be uncomfortable in the moment, but it's good for your future self and the direction you want to be heading in life. But I think that is so overlooked. Just being more intentional with who you give your time to and how you spend it. So that's it for this episode. Just to give you a brief overview, the 5 personal development habits that have changed my life. We have reading. We have affirmations and just choosing your thoughts and talking to yourself like you're your best friend. We have practicing gratitude and just being grateful for your day-to-day. We have meditation, living in a more present, grounded space that's more connected to yourself. And lastly, we have being more intentional with who you give your time to and how you spend it. So for the affirmation for today, I am taking action to become the best version of myself. I am taking action to become the best version of myself. Say that out loud. Say it to yourself. I hope you implement some of these habits, and I really do hope that they help to transform your life as much as they have with mine. I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys crush it this week, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.